Mate, what do people who don't like sport do? Like, just in life? Because they can't have anything that's as good as that.
What is the non-sporting equivalent of a 94th minute winner?
I mean, I don't know, because like, what, you can't get that kind of rush from TV. I don't care how good it is, or films, or unless you're winning like 50 grand and you're a pro. I don't see how you can get it out of any sort of video game. Like, the lives must just be so empty.
Yeah, maybe much more emotionally balanced.
Oh yeah, the lows aren't as low, but the highs can't be as high. That'll get me. Oh, I've had the worst day at work in the world, and I couldn't give a shit today. It was.
The middles is creamy.
Yeah. Yeah. Welcome to episode 306 of Mike White's podcast. I'm Jack, as always, joined by Casey.
Hello.
We are both excellent. We don't need to pretend otherwise. We'll just get straight into that late winner. I know that the scenes after the win against Leicester were pretty good at Elland Road last season, but that's the best thing I've seen at Elland Road in a long time.
I think we all wish we could be Joe Roden for a moment, just lying on his back, taking it all in.
I think it was Bogle also did just like a slide on his back towards the corner flag, just gone. And I have now seen what Farker got booked for a bit more, and he did run onto the pitch and slide on his back. Like everyone else. Still shouldn't be a yeller. You shouldn't get booked for just getting carried away. He didn't hurt nobody. But oh God, what a moment. That noise was fucking incredible.
I mean, my voice nearly broke all over again as Struijk put that header in. I think it sprinted down a few rows as well for no discernible reason other than I need to do something.
Yeah, I have so much energy that I don't know what to do with. No, I was speaking of voice going. I was originally, with it being an 8 o'clock. Normally, after an 8 o'clock kickoff, me and my dad don't go for a pint because it's that late by the time we're back. But we just went anyway because we knew it'd still be open, and well, it's not like we could possibly go to sleep after that. So we just went for a beer anyway. And I went up to the bar to order the drinks, and no noise came out. I went to order the drinks and just nothing happened because I'd shouted myself hoarse in the last 15 minutes of the game.
When I got home.
Oh, go for it.
So when I got home, so my girlfriend was up for work fairly early this morning. And so she was already in bed when I got home, and when she stirred a little bit as I got into bed, and she went, Pascal Struijk scored a 94th minute winner. And she does not care. But I had to tell her.
I didn't wake anyone up when I actually got in because Sarah and my daughter were very much asleep. No, it was a weird game because like the first half, I would say that we had more of it. Say maybe 60-40. But Sunderland did so much more with that 40 than we did with our 60. I didn't think the first half was... it was a weird one because we were behind and I couldn't really say it was unfair. But I didn't think we were playing that bad. I think it was more that Sunderland's defensive shape was excellent and they just kept us out. I thought we shifted across really well. We got the ball into James and Solomon loads, but there were always 2 against 1. And if Firpo and Bogle got up with them, someone from the middle went across and made it 3-on-2. They were really disciplined. And I thought that first half, they just did a fairly good job on us.
Yeah, I think certainly, like you say, when they came forward, there was a couple of times they looked for that switch ball over to their left-hand side.
Over to Lefay.
Yeah, when Bogle had been caught up a little bit. So and you'd said before the game, it's going to be a game where they will let us have the ball for the most part, and it showed there that when they did get in possession, they were looking to move relatively quickly. Whereas I thought for us, I thought certainly the left-hand side, and I never thought that got going in the first half. I thought Solomon was prone to taking a touch too many or a bit slow getting the ball inside. And just I think I found him a touch frustrating in that regard. Like we're still getting on the ball, we're still taking players on, but was maybe a little bit too slow with it. Dan James was. I think James and Bogle were very busy, but attack going forward. I suppose they occupied defenders, but without really sort of piercing the back line too much.
Yeah, I thought James was good. He was having a go at him, and I think he was more just denied by good defending. I thought Bogle was really good because he, for the most part, defended really well. He got done that first chance where Bellingham has the shot on the edge of the box. He gets a bit dull. He gets caught out a bit too far forward, and Lafia gets away. But that's like 90 seconds in. And for the rest of the time, for as good a player as Lafia is, I think he did really well against him. He got skinned one more time, didn't he? And he just hoofed him up in the air.
Yeah.
And got booked, which I think puts him on 9. So he's got to go like 4 games without getting booked again. Otherwise, it's a 2-game ban, which we could do with avoiding. But seeing as we're playing Sheffield United in the next game, I'm expecting another yellow card fest. So we might have to see what happens with that. They had that one chance early on, and then there wasn't a great deal in which, like, our first shot on target was that Dan James one in like the 41st, 42nd minute. But their goal, it's, obviously there's no pressure on anything, and they just knock it out at top. Isidore makes a good run in behind, and, he's been great for us, and he's a really good player, but I thought it was very poor from Ethan Ampadu. I haven't seen the interview back. Apparently, in his interview with Sky after the game, he says the same. He just got so tight to him, gets rolled. To be honest, he fouls Isidore as well. He just grabs him and pulls him back and then lets go when he realises he's about to give away a penalty. But to be fair to Isidore, it's a good run in behind, it's good feet to get away, and it's a really good finish as well.
Yeah, I'd say the frustration is that Isidore gets in behind. I think Ampadu gets goal side again, but then he's, like you say, he just gets too tight to him too early, and almost sort of just grabs a hold round his waist, and Isidore just turns him, just literally just maneuvers around him, and then, like you say, Ampadu lets go within a second, gets the shot away, and it's in off the far post. It's a really well taken finish by that point.
Yeah, it was. It was a well taken goal. I mean, one thing that I realised after the game, because we were on about it on the drive home, going, well, we had all the shots, but it was my dad that went, I bet they had more shots on target than we did, and they did. It was 6-4. They only had 6 shots, but they're all on target. And as he couldn't do out with the goal, and the other saves were all decent, I'd say Melier had a pretty good game, which is nice to see after how it went in the away game. But we were going half time 1-0 down, and you're not expecting any changes because it's Farke, never does. But the changes that the people around us and us were saying was move Ampadu into midfield and get Struijk on. And it was about the 70th minute, because it's always about the 70th minute. Those were the changes that happened, but we also got Rothwell on, which wasn't the one that I was as much pushing for. But I thought, in terms of a 25-minute sub appearance, I thought Joe Rothwell had a really good game. He just got on the ball loads. He was a lot more proactive with the way he was moving with the ball and his passing. He just never gave it away as well, and the passing at times had been a bit sloppy before he came on. And then, obviously, picking up 2 assists is brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I think I'm on the more critical end of things, where I thought it was horribly timed for both Tanaka and Gruev to have what I thought were fairly poor games.
I think Gruev especially. I didn't think Gruev had much of a game at all.
Yeah, it was not helped by his seeming inability to take a single set piece well. Like Gruev's set pieces were dreadful.
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
But yeah, I just thought on the whole they contributed very little to the game, other than sort of the typical industry that you would expect from the two of them. But in possession, you know, I genuinely thought by the time they came off that in possession, Joe Roden was being much more effective with the ball than those two were.
Yeah.
So I was surprised that he brought both of them off. But yeah, like you say, it was really nice to go get Ampadu on, who is the one who will sit deeper, and Joe Rothwell all of a sudden was a midfielder who would drive with the ball a bit. As his passing was fantastic from the moment he came on, and all of a sudden we seem to be able to get the ball wider quicker.
Yeah.
Which I think was, you know, we do fall into habit sometimes of it almost feels like it has to go through both central defenders before we go to the other side.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you had Rothwell who was just playing these faster balls, and we were changing direction. All of a sudden we could up the tempo a little bit. You know, and I think at that point we were already pressing them back without being that penetrative, whereas all of a sudden we just had that bit more impetus about us that just stretched them a little bit more, and just started causing more problems.
Yeah, I think a big part of the passing being quicker as well, though, it isn't just Rothwell. I think having Struijk at centre back compared to Ampadu did help, because the number of I don't remember the exact handle, but it's A-lister, I think, on Twitter. He did it was just one of them quick pull all the game involvements off Y-Scout and put them in a video. But Struik's ability to sort of wrap a pass a bit more round to go out to Firpo, because it's a better angle for a left footer, I think that helped us get the ball forward a bit quicker as well on that side. Because that's where I don't actually know if he's the one that plays it out to him, but it's Firpo that's brought down for the free kick, isn't it? I think.
Yeah.
And then when he goes down, after how our set pieces had been all game, I turned to the guy next to me and went, the problem is when Leeds get a set piece, you can't even get excited because you just know it's not going to come to anything. Great ball in, Pascal Struijk rises, flicks it in. Great goal. Elland Road goes mental. And oh god, it was just when we're crap at scoring from set pieces. Of all the times to get one, that was a really good time to get one. Like we haven't got that many, but like it was the same when he scored when we got one against Sheffield United. Like, oh, that's a really good time to get one of them.
Yeah, I think one thing I really liked about it was bearing in mind how big of a game that was. That's an equaliser. And he was just, no, get the ball, right. We're going to get a winner now.
Yeah, and credit to Parker as well for not changing his mind about the subs. Still going, no, I'm still getting Joseph off and playing him and Peru. I know that we've equalised, but we're still going for it.
Yeah, it was nice to see, because certainly I think there's a lot of people in the ground who would suspect in that situation that Farker would go, no, actually, we'll leave it. We'll keep Brendan Aronson on the pitch now that a draw is an acceptable result. I think I said to you coming away from the game, Aronson, I felt had a quiet one for him out of possession, which say what you will about his decision making on the ball. I thought that was pretty much par for the course for Aronson last night, but the speed of the closing down didn't seem to be there, and I don't know if that's just because especially once they were in front, they were pretty comfortable sitting there and in their sort of almost went into just a 4-4-2 quite a lot of the time.
Yeah, when they were off the ball, they did seem to drop into a 4-4-2 a lot. A couple of I actually meant to bring this up before the goal, but I'll do it now. Just before the equaliser, they made their first 2 subs, and they took off Chris Rigg for that Samid, who was more of a holding player, but that just freed Bellingham up a bit, so I don't think that made much difference. But they took Isidore off for Mayenda, and I think that gave us a lot less to think about, like sort of in the other direction. I think it gave us a bit more freedom. Like Roden was already stepping up with the ball, but he seemed to really he was going forward with it 40 yards all of a sudden and just not worrying about the consequences.
Yeah, it's I love Joe Roden in those situations of just as he's running, you can just see his arms going, "Come on, someone move!" Just he's getting mad whilst playing. Yeah, it was quite. They did that thing that you hate to see from typically when a lower team plays a team from the top end of a division where they've got the lead. It's 20 minutes left. All right, let's defend this 1-0 lead. When against Leeds, the game will be quite open anyway. And there will be chances to counter attack. And I think they lost that. I don't know if momentum's the right word, but that ability to kind of play out when they needed to.
Yeah, that bit of threat.
Yeah, and it did seem to go to all of a sudden quite a few. Right, let's just send this 50 yards the other way and get our shape back. But yeah, once the tide had turned there, it did feel like it was going to be a struggle for them to reclaim that, that bit of edge that they had. Like I say, Lafay had Bogle had done a pretty good job on him for the most part. Patrick Roberts was never massively in the game. I didn't feel
I only really remember him as being, he did good defensive work doubling up in the other direction. I can't really remember him doing much going the other way.
Yeah. And I think you get to the point with Sunderland in that game where, if I remember right, I think they've changed their entire front four by the end.
Yeah, because it was 3, because they left. Oh no, because I suppose if Bellingham had moved further forward, because they brought Poveda on for Roberts, didn't they, later on?
Yeah, Poveda, who looked quite quick, he had about a solid 2.5 minutes where he rapidly closed some things down, got on the ball and had a little run down the right-hand side that didn't seem to go anywhere. I've never seen that before. I'm saying that as if I've got a big problem with Poveda, and I don't. It's just how I've always felt about him, that he loves a run, but he does love.
You can tell that's what Leeds fans were like with Poveda, because there was a brief attempt at singing "You're too shit for play for Leeds," and by halfway through the first sentence, everyone was like, he's fine.
He's fine. I had no problem with him. We just, he played a couple of games last season, did fine in them. It was probably for the best that he moved on, to be honest. But yeah, it was really nice ultimately from us, like you say, that he went with Joseph and Ramazani coming on, because like I said, I think with Ramazani, even though you'd probably say he didn't do that much coming on, by that point, I think more was going down the right-hand side.
Yeah.
When he gets in possession, he wasn't slowing the game down like Solomon does. There's those times when Solomon gets sort of 1v1 and he really slows things down and allows people to get set a bit. And I think that was one of his big problems yesterday, whereas Ramazani, you know that if he gets half an inch of space, he's going to put his foot through it on the edge of the box.
Yeah, he does love a shot, doesn't he?
He had a lovely shot at one point.
Yeah, well, having seen that back, there is some people who think he meant that pass. No. There's some people who think it might have been an outside of a foot cross that he overhit. I still think no, but I'd be more willing. I'd be more willing to believe that one. I just think it's a complete miss kick. But yeah, Rothwell's corner comes out to Ramazani outside of a foot. But before this corner, by the way, I made sure to say the problem with Leeds getting a set piece is that you can't get excited about it because you know there's no chance we're going to score from it.
Yeah.
Word for word saying the same thing just in case. Yeah, Ramazani skews it back out to Rothwell. Rothwell, he could just drive it back in, but he shows really good composure. Feints, it cuts back inside on his left and has a proper cross-come shot. Because I think it might have been very close to curling in the far post by itself. But they've got a defender at the far post who would have ended it away. And Pascal Struijk is completely unmarked, middle at 6-yard box to head it in. Obviously, bedlam. Absolute fuck. It was amazing. But that's what you go to football for. Moments like that. It was only on the replay that I realised, God, that's really shit goalkeeping.
It is, isn't it? Like when I was watching the highlights back, I went, "Oh, Patterson's got nowhere near this at all."
Yeah, in the ground, I never even realised he had a chance of getting there. But when I saw it back, I did think, "Oh God, that's awful goalkeeping." Which, in fairness, they owed us one of them.
Yeah, late on.
But oh God, what a massive win. Because I'll be honest, when the board went up and said 5 minutes, I didn't just think that. I said out loud, if ref just blew whistle now, I'd take that. Because once we'd been 1-0 down, I thought, it's a good point, this. So to come away with all three, 7 points ahead of third, 10 points ahead of Sunderland, back to the top of the league, it was a massive moment. And you could feel the post-match well, not even post-match, just from the moment the goal went in, it never stopped. Those celebrations were a lot of people thinking, fuck, we're actually going to do this, aren't we?
It's I think it's probably the latest. Well, I know for me it's a bit different because I've not been going as much. Since I've been going this season and the games I went to last season, it's probably the longest we've stayed after a game since the Leicester game.
Yeah, because we because we've to get down from the stand-up and stuff, we do tend to be away pretty much as soon as the whistle goes, but not yesterday.
No, it was one to savour. The one thing I'm going to go back to is I don't know which highlights it was you were watching. Like I think it was the first time someone ever said to point out to me. You ever notice when someone gets a yellow card on Match of the Day that they're going to get sent, that they actually get sent off in that game? Yeah. Oh God, they do, don't they? There was the point where I was watching the Sky Sports version of the highlights, and it cuts to the slow motion of that Sunderland fan just doing the 1-0 gesture.
Yeah,
they've really stitched him up in this highlights package.
That was actually putting that in the highlights. I think you could go as far as to say that's mean.
Yeah. But yeah, the little bits that were going on, and you kind of include the celebrations where you see the clips now of Melier thinking, I'm going to sprint off and join the lap. That's a really long way. I'm just going to annoy the Sunderland fans instead.
That picture of him like that to the Sunderland fans is a great picture.
There's about 5 of the substitutes of just pegging it across the field. Junior Firpo, who
I believe it's known as a no-an Kenner.
Junior Firpo, who had been sat just outside the dugout when he came off, because he came off just pretty much as stoppage time went up.
It was, the sub was 92nd minute. I've just got it in there. Okay. Because he got booked in the 90th minute for that very cynical pullback, which, to be fair, he could have got booked for one of them. It was, I think, early in the second half, wasn't it, where he ended up in the middle of midfield and just went, no. And we were very surprised he didn't get booked then. And I think that as soon as he got that yellow and he looked a bit tired, I think Farker went, right, I'm not risking this, which is good.
But like you say, there's so much going on between the goal celebrations. Then at full time, Largy and Willie Nonto are having a lovely little time.
And Tanaka as well appeared to love a dance.
And then there is a coming together of sorts, and I'm assuming words are exchanged somewhere.
Yeah, I haven't even really seen that back, but I'm just going to assume it was Luke O'Nien. Because that's not even like said in a negative way. It's just he is always involved when something like that happens. Apparently, there was a bit of shoving at half time in the tunnel. I bet that was Luke O'Nien as well.
I mean, again, the clip where Meslier makes that save and Luke O'Nien goes to lay down on top of him, and Joe Rodon's just thinking, "I don't have time for this," and just shoves him off.
I still think that when Isidore gets booked for that after, I still think it's because the referee forgot who laid on Meslier. I think he meant to book O'Nien and got confused.
Because of all the people who essentially, there's three parties there who you think, right, O'Nien's laying on top of the goalkeeper, somehow starfishing on top of Meslier, and I just kind of wanted Meslier to stand up and dump him off his back.
Yeah.
Joe Rodon sprints him and just hikes him off the top of Meslier.
Yeah.
In the most aggressive of the pushes, Isidore has what I'm going to say is a gentle jog towards Joe Rodon, lightly pushes him, and Isidore is the one who comes away with a yellow card in all this.
The bit that we couldn't really tell from the ground is Isidore and Rodon do go sort of head to head, and if one of them leans in, it is Rodon. It's not a headbutt.
No.
But if it was the Brazilian league, they'd have both gone down and lived in the face. It was one of them. But yeah, it was weird that he only booked Isidore of the three when it was probably O'Nien deserved the booking the most, then Rodon, then Isidore.
Yeah. Yeah, and so like you say, there's sort of little arguments going off, and there's some people dancing, and everyone's just really happy apart from Sunderland fans. But I'm not one of those, and obviously you've sat with me there most of the time. There's not really many occasions when I'm just sat looking at it away and just shouting "fuck off."
Yeah, you.
I have no idea why on this occasion. It's like bollocks to you.
No, it was a weird atmosphere because before the game, I thought that the crowd seemed really nervous, and it did get a bit flat at times just because nothing much was happening and we weren't getting there. But it just started to pick up ever so slightly before the equaliser, and the second that equaliser went in, it was then 20 minutes of real constant Elland Road like it was a few years ago. Like really, just, those peak games that you have where everything's really going. It was, you've got away end noise from 2/3 of the ground.
Yeah,
it was great.
It was fantastic by that point, and yeah, I mean, one of the things that is quite nice is when you play a team like Sunderland is they're going to bring a decent away following with them. The Sunderland fans are going to make plenty of noise for it as well.
There weren't there was enough. Like there weren't a bad away end by any means, but they weren't as loud and up for it as I would have expected, given how big Sunderland's fan base is and stuff, and how much they hate us.
No, I think that's more Middlesbrough that hate us.
No, they live there. They do. They hate us. I still hate them.
Why we let them win an FA Cup?
That's what I always. Why do you hate us? We should hate anything, and we don't. But
yeah,
that was a seriously big win. I mean, I think before the game, if we don't lose these next two games, that'll be a really strong position. So getting especially a win where you'll be behind with 20 minutes left, it is sort of result that teams that get promoted get.
Except last season.
Yeah. We didn't get any key results this season. We didn't do the Ipswich. We didn't do the Ipswich over double and Leicester.
Yeah.
Word.
It's obviously we will come on to it, and I think we're going to do ideally another Sunday podcast like we did last week.
It'll be back end of the week. I don't know exactly what day, but Sunday is probably most likely. We'll go through the actual. We'll mention some more players. Who did you actually have as? Well, who's your man of the match, and who's your man of the match of the starters?
I think for me overall, I think it's Joe Rodon on both counts. I thought he was outstanding. You know, at the point where we were looking a little bit out of ideas, he suddenly seemed to step up as like, right, fine, I'll go forwards then.
Yeah,
I'll do something.
It wasn't done in the same. It wasn't done in the same way because it's not the same from centre back as it is from wider. But Luke Ayling used to have a bit of that, didn't he? You know, no, we're going forward, and kind of just grab the team by the balls and drag them forward a bit. And Rodon had a bit of that in this game. Rodon and Bogle were my two of the players that started, and I think I probably would just lean Rodon. But like, I'd have to give it Struijk. I just would. You come off the bench, score 2 goals, and win like that. Fuck it, you deserve it.
Is that in contention for the most handsome substitution of all time? Bringing those two on.
Yeah. It's definitely up there. I believe that on the match ball, which I half listened to because I put it on when I was like laid in bed when I got into bed at about 1:30 in the morning. But I think that they may have called it like the sexiest goal.
I mean, they're not wrong.
Yeah. I forget about how handsome Joe Rothwell is because of Pascal Struijk.
Oh, he's like football's Jake Gyllenhaal. He's wonderful, and he's got a local name, so it's even better. Yeah. But yeah, the impact that those two had, and I know it's very easy to focus on the goals because it was Rothwell to Struijk both times. Also, I will say, headline writer's dream, because I think I saw the headline "Lightning Struijks" twice.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
It was that was nice, but the two of them both played very well for the 25 minutes they were on, and I think they both lifted the performance. Yeah, by a lot.
Yeah. I think the only last thing to mention player-wise that we haven't done is I do think that Joel Piroux had a pretty good game. Not an outstanding one, not like some, because he's been, for 3 games previous, he's been probably had some of his best games in a Leeds shirt. It wasn't quite to that level, but I thought he was pretty good.
Yeah, I thought first half was probably a bit quiet, but I didn't think he was getting a lot of service. Whereas second half, we got him on the ball a lot more. And it's really nice to see him just pushing past defenders at times. Just go, no, you're not having this. Like you watch with some of his goals, his close ball control is fantastic. But just the way he just held defenders off at times last night as he was just carrying the ball and retaining possession. I think certainly in that last half hour, his hold up play sort of shone through a lot more.
Yeah, that is such a big win. Predictions wise, obviously, we were the negative ones. We went for a draw. Connie, with his mad confidence that he always has, he had 3-0, so he gets 2 points. But both Benny and Alex had a 2-1 win. So that shoots them forward and makes me and you the bottom 2.
I don't even know why we have a podcast, to be honest.
Connie 72, Benny and Alex 64, you 60, me 58. I'm hoping I can pull some of that back with my excellent pre-season predictions, like Luton winning the league.
The only saving grace is, as you mentioned before, is we're all going to do badly on that one.
Yeah, I think, what was it? That Connie's got him like 5th, so he might only get -10 instead of -20. But yeah, that will do us for episode 306 at Mike White's podcast. Back to the top of the league, massive win. We can get anything against Sheffield United, and it's a home game, beat West Brom, and then even I will start thinking, yeah, it's going to be hard for us to fuck this up now. Right now, I'm still like, it's easily possible for us to fuck this up now. But that was a massive win.
Huge.
And just so much fun. Oh, God, there is nothing like it. I've been Jack. See you.